Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I remain my humble self, Rufai Ismail Olayinka, and today we'll be looking at the various contracts in relation to Islamic finance. So, the way you have different toolbox in Islamic finance, we also have different contracts that can be used in different scenarios. So, meaning some contracts are partnership or equity based, some are sales based, some are lease based, some are agency based, and so some are socially inclined. Socially inclined, meaning they are social investments. So as you know, Islamic finance has the commercial part and also has the what? The social part. So look at it in this way. Under the partnership or the equity base, this is where we have the Mudarabah or the Musharaka contract. What is Mudarabah? Mudarabah is a partnership in business in which one party provides the capital while the other party manages the business. The party providing the capital is called the Mal, while the one who manages the business is called the Mudarib. For the Mal and the Mudarib relationship, it is expected to be a symbiotic relationship. And in this relationship, both parties must agree on the profit sharing ratio. So meaning is either you do a 50-50, a 60-40, a 70-30, a 80-20, a 90-10, and it can flip between the two depending on where or the agreement the two parties will be agreeing with. So let me use both the formal and informal sector as an example. In the informal sector, you have Mr. Chuku who has the capital or the ability to invest in a particular business entity. But you now also have another Mr. Emeka. Mr. Emeka is a very good trader and he has the capacity to manage business activities. However, Mr. Emeka lacks capital and he needs somebody who can invest in his business. But the other party that has this capital doesn't have the expertise in managing the business. So these two people can come together. So unlike in the normal conventional relationship whereby people do that, you only give someone money without agreeing on how the profit will be shared or without explaining that who bear the risk when you have loss. So under the Mudarib principle, or the Mudarabah principle is that the one providing the capital, yes, will also share in the profits generated by that business activities. However, where there is loss, and this is where everybody don't want to hear, where there is loss, who should bear it? The one who provides the capital is expected to bear the loss in total. Let me repeat again. The one who is providing the capital is expected to bear the loss in total. So meaning we agreed a 50-50 sharing ratio if profit is generated. So what happens when there are loss? When there is loss in that particular business, it is expected that the provider of the capital should bear the loss in total. However, there is a disclaimer. The disclaimer is that if there is negligence in the action of the one who manages the business, then he can be held responsible. So meaning I gave you money and you have the knowledge that so type of product is no longer feasible. You can't produce or sell some kind of product in the economy. But the manager of that particular business decided to go ahead and invest in such kind of business with the notion that that particular business activities, maybe due to government policy or government regulation, have been restricted, but he went and engaged in such kind of activities. If eventually maybe the laws or the government itself confiscates such kind of business or goods, then it is expected that the manager of that business will pay back in total to the provider of the capital all its principal investment. Why? Because it is not just that the business generated any loss. It was due to his negligence that he did not follow the rules and regulation or probably the policy that be laid down by the government or in anything relation. So if at all we can trace that there is negligence in the action of the one who is managing the business, then he or she will be held responsible. So like I mentioned, Mudarabah is contract that in the informal sector, each and every one of us can implement the relationship. Whenever we give money to somebody, we should be able to sign an agreement with them, understand the principle guiding just kind of business, know what percentage of the business profit you'll be getting, and you should also understand that whenever there are losses that business is also generating, you should be able to bear the loss in total, except where you find negligence in the action of the manager. Mudarabah can be restrictive and it can also be unrestrictive. So, meaning you can restrict somebody that this money you should only invest it in the trading of oil palm. Do not invest it in buying cashew. So it is expected at that point, it is a restrictive mudarabah because that investment is restricted to a particular form of business. It could be unrestricted, meaning you only give the money to the manager, but the manager can invest in any business activities he or she wants to invest in at that point in time. So mudarabah could be restrictive and it could be unrestrictive mudarabah. Restrictive when it has a restriction to a particular form of business or sector, unrestrictive when it has no restriction to a particular business or a sector. So now let me now go to the formal aspect of mudarabah, or a relationship between an investor and a fund manager. In the investment ecosystem, it is expected that the relationship between investor and a fund manager could be mudarabah or could be wakala. So, but because we are discussing mudarabah today, I'll restrict myself to mudarabah. So, meaning I'm the provider of the capital, it is expected, and this is the problem, or this is the peculiar issue we have in the economy these days. You are giving someone money, but you want the person to tell you the exact percentage of profit he or she will be paying you. Is this allowed? Yes, to some extent, but the real sense is that we should only agree between the fund manager and the investor on the profit sharing ratio that such kind of business entity or business activity will be paying you. But an insistence that you should tell me the exact return I'm going to make is making us go back to what we are running away from. So the relationship should be a relationship between a fund manager and an investor. So in a mudarabah contract or a mudarabah relationship between the fund manager and the investors, both parties will agree on the profit sharing ratio in such kind of business, and they can also agree on incentive if they generate the return that is probably above the benchmark they've both agreed on. So what am I saying is that in a relationship between somebody who is providing capital and another person who is going to manage the business, the most effective approach is to limit it to the profit sharing ratio. However, if what you'll be investing in has a fixed return on investment, yes, you can decide to link it to a particular benchmark or a rate, but the most effective or the most principal way for us to go is to limit it to the profit sharing ratio, which I mentioned could be 50-50, could be 60-40 in terms of ratio, could be 70-30, could be 80-20, and could also be what? 90-10. And you may also decide that every profit you'll be generating in that business activities should go to a particular entity. So meaning as the investor I may decide to say, or as the fund manager may decide to say, all the profits I'm paying it to you as an investor in this particular relationship. So basically, I think I've been able to explain in summary what the concept of mudarabah is all about. And do not forget to listen to my podcast on Spotify. When you search for Understanding Islamic Finance with Ismail Rufai on Spotify, you'll be able to listen to different topics that we've discussed in relation to Islamic finance. Thank you very much.